Good day, students. Today we are looking at a new story, Making Tracks. However, in this story, you will see elements that we've already covered and that we just reviewed in the PowerPoint Google Slides. Making Tracks, the genre is a mystery. Now, if you remember well, a mystery is a story about a puzzling problem that the main character is trying to solve. Clues are included throughout the story, so you have to keep your eyes open so the reader can try to solve the puzzle at the same time as the main character. Right, let's see what today's puzzle is all about. What is the problem? What is the mystery? Making tracks. Katsu stuffed his empty package of fruit snacks into his pocket. "Hold up, Lois," he called. Lois was far ahead on the snowy trail. He paused to let Katsu catch up. "My dad and my sister are not behind us anymore," Katsu said when he reached Lois. "We had better retrace our steps," said Lois. "Maybe they returned home." It was a gloomy grey day, but Katsu had talked to them all into a long walk. In the woods, the snow was thick and soft, a warm blanket for sleeping animals. Katsu and Lois started back. So to retrace your steps means you're going back on your steps. The word retrace means you step back in your own tracks and move back in them. They had not gone far when Katsu pointed out two sets of footprints. The track headed away from the trail into the woods. One set of tracks were large and the other smaller. Maybe that's the father and the sister. They began following the tracks and calling. No one answered. They saw a deer with her fawn. Baby deer is a fawn, but no people. See, there are the tracks. There's the bigger tracks and there are the smaller tracks. That could be dad and that could be their sister. So they are going back. You can see the tracks are heading that way. So they're following that way. Yuri, now that's a new name. Yuri has been wandering off since preschool, Katsu said unhappily. But now my dad is doing it too. So Yuri is the sister here, and then dad is also another character. Lois laughed. "At least we caught their trail," he said. As the boys passed some thick bushes, they saw an unwelcome sight. The tracks ended. In their place were bear tracks, the boys shouted. Oh my soul. A few steps further, the boys noticed an arrow drawn to the bear tracks. Next to the bear tracks. It pointed around a giant rock. Quietly, Katsu and Lois rounded the rock. And suddenly, there were Yuri and Katsu's father. They were laughing hard. "We jumped into the bushes and I came back as a bear," the grinning father said. He wore a blue snowshoe suit and on his feet were big boots with bare feet. Oh my goodness. Those were the tracks that looked like a bear that was made. Guess what the boys were thinking? What happened to the father and Yuri? When they saw the bear tracks and no more tracks of these two, they thought the bear ate them. "Where did you get those boots?" asked Katsu. "From the magic store that sells joke stuff," Yuri explained. Everybody laughed as they headed back to the trail. With a good mystery solved, The day was not so gloomy after all. Gloomy means not bright, not a happy day. That's a day when it's rainy and snowy. It's like you don't want to do much. You're not very excited. The gloomy day means it's not a bright, sunny day. Definitely not. Right. Let's just go back and talk about what do we see in the paragraphs 1 to 5. Now here, right. In here, we see the beginning of the story. Right. And in here, it tells us who are the characters. They're talking about Katsu, they're talking about Lois. And then they talk about dad, my dad, and my sister. So these are the characters. Remember, it always happens in the beginning of the story. Then we're talking about a snowy trail. That gives us the setting. Where does this happen? In a snowy, cold area. That much we know. Right. We also know that they are on a trail. They are walking. They went into a long walk in the woods, and there was a lot of snow. Snow was thick and soft. Right. So we know it was a gloomy day. So it couldn't be summer if there was a lot of snow. So it tells you when does this happen, and it tells you where it happens. And it tells you who are in the story. Cool. Let's move on. Remember, that's always happening in the beginning of a story. Around the middle of the story, we always find that's where they tell us or give us an idea about the problem. So let me get another color here, and let's see where the problem comes in. Right. Now, the problem comes in when they say, Dad and sister is not behind us anymore. Okay, that is just maybe they went home. Then they start looking into it. They see the two pairs of footsteps, but it's off the tracks. It's no longer on the track. It is now away from the trail into the woods. Why would you go into the woods if you should stay on the track all the time? There's a trail, you stay on the trail. Right. Now they're following, but they're not so worried yet. But nobody answers. So the problem gets a little bigger. No people are answering. Why not? Did something bad happen? Right. He says his sister always used to go off since preschool. She would go off wandering. Wandering means when you are walking around aimlessly, when you are not concentrating on where you're going. That's when you lose your way, and that's when you lose your parents in the shop, and you all know this one. But now even dad is doing it. So he's starting to think, why would a grown-up be so silly? Now Lois, here we can see almost Lois' point of view. He just laughs. He doesn't look very worried. Yuri is, because he says this is not normal that dad does this too. It's normal for his sister, but not for his dad. Then the boys go on and they pass big, thick bushes. And here is the scary bit. They see an unwelcome sight. What was that? Bear tracks. Bears are known to eat people. So the boys shout. Now they are in shock. So a few steps further, an arrow is drawn next to the bear tracks. Are we going to solve this problem? So they walk quietly. Normally when you're scared, you are quietly walking and you are not sure where to go. But suddenly, Yuri and Katsu's father appear. Let's get a bright and nice color here because now we're happy. So let's go there. Okay. So the parents appear and his sister appears, and they were laughing hard. So if you're laughing, you're feeling better and you feel relieved. He says, we jumped into the bushes because we wanted to hide away from you, and we wanted to make bear tracks by using my big boots that we bought. Right. So here you can see everybody's relieved because they're laughing. The whole everything has changed now. And they said they bought this where they sell the joke stuff. So he was planning on having a joke. So they solved the problem. They found them and they were unharmed. Right. So they say, with a good mystery was now solved. Even if this day was gloomy, they had some fun and it wasn't so gloomy after all. Right. You need to go to the assignment now and use your book to go back to the story. In your book, you will find it on 125 to 127, and you can read the story again and find your answers carefully while answering your assignment. When you're done, you will submit. Thank you for listening.